All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Pregame Cheat Sheet. I am Darren Smith, along with my co-host, Mr. Steve Walls, host of the W. Steve, what's going on, man?
It's going to be a rainy one today. That's what's going on. I woke up this morning and didn't expect it to be a rain out, but, it's going to be a lot of running the ball
You
today.
didn't check your phone after seeing
I
what
did
it's going
not.
to be like?
I did not.
Okay, well, now you know. No one's after
Now
that.
I know.
I want to welcome you all, of course, Arrowhead Stadium, site of Monday Night Football. Kansas City Chiefs are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a rematch of Super Bowl, what was it, 55, I think it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 55, where,
One that we won't speak of.
yeah, yeah, that was a bad day for us gamblers that day. But,
Not only gamblers, but just being there, man.
oh,
Being
man.
from the city and watching what happened. Yeah.
That was one of the worst losses I think we've ever taken. Actually, I think there might have been the worst loss that the Chiefs had in the playoffs recently. But be that as it may, these two teams are facing off against each other. Kansas City is looking for the 8th straight win of the season. Their 14th straight win since their Christmas Day loss to the Raiders last year on Christmas. And of course, with that, they're trying to keep within a 2-game lead ahead of their next closest competitor. I think it is the Buffalo Bills in the AFC. So, Steve, when we look at this matchup, Baker Mayfield's going to be without his top 3 wide receivers, including Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They've lost a few of their games. I think they're coming into tonight's game with a 4-4 record.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing in this matchup? Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. Of course, a lot of people remember their college days when when they played off against each other in the game that saw 1,500 yards of offense. I can assure you won't see that tonight at Arrowhead. Well, even then, I don't think Spags he might not be able to see post game if he gave us 1,500 yards of offense tonight. But be that as it may, what do you see in this matchup between the Bucs and the Chiefs tonight?
I think you said it, man. I think it's Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. It's a matchup where that goes back all the way to college. I think they understand that, and no matter what we think about how Patrick's offensive game has been, thus far this season, I think today, is a new day, and he understands that going up against Baker Mayfield, and he also understands of what happened in the Super Bowl. Right, like that's the last time you said it. That's the last time that this team has played Tampa Bay, and then also they want to stay undefeated. Now Tampa Bay on the flip side is coming in here. Baker Mayfield wants to prove that he's able to go out and beat Patrick Mahomes, which every quarterback does. And unlike playing a Lamar Jackson or someone like that who is a runner, Baker is able to use his arm, and I feel like that's what he's going to try to showcase today.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is actually 0-2 against Kansas City in his career, both times with the Cleveland Browns. One, I think, was the opening. Well, first time they played each other, they were. It was in the AFC divisional game here in Kansas City in the playoffs, and then they opened up the season against each other the following year
in Cleveland.
No, it was here.
Was it here? Okay.
It was okay. Baker gave up a late 4th down interception because the game was close, and the Chiefs had that interception.
Now, there weren't many. I don't feel like there were many. When was that? Was that 2018 or 2019?
No, that was the year they 2021.
Was 21? Okay.
Yeah.
I would say not many guys were on this same roster except like Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, of course.
Yeah. Well, but then you also said, but that was a new offensive line that took place after what took place in Tampa Bay. And remember, we always do the what if. Obviously, if Kareem had been on the team in 2018. But you think about it, if the Chiefs do not play Tampa Bay earlier that year where they went down and Tyreek had the big first quarter where the two things might have been different in the Super Bowl had those two teams not met up because Tampa Bay wouldn't have put that that 2-eye safety in place, because that's what really got Kansas City late in that ball game where they won. But also now we do know about the decimated line, of course. But they put the clamps down on Tyreek and other players in that game in the Super Bowl.
But I think more than anything, Patrick Mahomes was injured. I mean, he had turf toe. He had the metal steel in his shoe. He couldn't move.
I mean, he was still playing like Superman.
Yeah, he was. But he just couldn't move. And I think the offensive line, more than anything, was he just couldn't. He couldn't get a footing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now these teams really match up well over their time. They're actually 7-7 all time in the series. Of course, Tampa leads the postseason with the 1-0 win over there. We just saw Kurt Warner walk through. But looking at this tonight, they'll have Bucky Irvin running the football along with Rashad White. Cade Otton is their tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they've been so decimated with injuries over the last 2-3 weeks that, coming into tonight's game, Baker Mayfield's is gonna have to probably figure out who he's actually throwing the ball to and handing the ball off to against the Chiefs tonight.
I mean, I would agree, but you think about what happened in Las Vegas. I mean, Gardner Minshew is no Baker Mayfield, right? I mean, you still had their rookie tight end, and he went off for what? And I get it.
Bowers.
Yeah, Brock Bowers, and I get it, Spag. The Chiefs kind of do this little cat and mouse thing. They fill the other team out first half, and then they kind of put the clamps down. But Gardner Minshew still was able to orchestrate a little bit of offense to give them hope, going into the fourth quarter. So, they just got to figure it out. And I feel like you don't want, and I say this today, and I've been saying it the past few weeks, you don't want Nick Bolton to have to get out there and guard a tight end.
Nah, I get you. So tonight's game, of course, will be on ESPN and also ABC locally, KNBC, Channel 9. We will also see the home debut of DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
Got some video footage of him coming into the stadium. All three Kelseys are actually here tonight, Jason, Travis, and Taylor. So Kelsey, they're all in the building tonight. So one of the things that we both know that Andy Reid generally likes to do, and Mahomes as well, is that you get a new player, especially an offensive player, play them on the road, get them acclimated into the system. But their first home game, what's the likelihood of you thinking Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes try to get a touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins in tonight's game?
It's a great likelihood. Now today is a little different because it's raining, but I feel like look, they want to showcase what they can showcase, and DeAndre Hopkins is going to be in that mix.
One of the things that you should want to see if you're a Chiefs fan in tonight's game is that now while Tampa is kind of decimated offensively,
mm-hmm.
they still got a pretty solid defense. But if you're a Chiefs fan, you want to see Kansas City put up points. They put up 28 points against the Raiders last week, where they actually left points that we thought that they should have had. So whether the rain plays a factor in today's game or not, offensively, Kansas City should be able to kind of muster up a decent offensive game. And, and I would say better than the last one that they had on Monday night,
mm-hmm.
even in the win against New Orleans.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you want to look, Kareem Hunt is going to be the offense, especially today in the rain.
Yeah.
I saw something, and everybody has their FanDuel app or whatever, but they don't mention Samaje Perine on any of those apps.
They normally do, I think, for receiving for some reason.
I haven't seen any as far as rushing or receiving. So that kind of, Vegas always knows something. And so when I look at that, I'm like, all right, is Carson still going to be in the mix a little bit more tonight than he has been in the past few weeks?
I saw him for 12.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I saw that too. So I took the over. But no, I think it's going to be more Kareem Hunt than anything. But I think Carson still is going to get in there as well.
And speaking of Kareem Hunt, look, I mean, he scored 4 touchdowns, I think, within the last 4 games. His contribution to the team. What have you seen from him offensively since he's gotten back to Kansas City?
Man, it's been a kind of a breath of fresh air, and not only from, I guess, my point of view, but from fans and probably coaches and their team. Just because when Isaiah Pacheco went down, we saw that very next game how teams are going to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Right, we saw them. We're gonna make you beat us with the run. We don't feel like Samaje. We don't feel like Carson Steele is going to be able to do it. And we saw it, but the Chiefs were still able. Luckily, their defense was able to step up like they have been all season. But I think the breath of fresh air has been Kareem, kind of on a like you call it, a redemption tour.
Yeah.
He wants to showcase, hey, I messed up, and this is what you would have had if I was still here.
Kansas City Chiefs fans will also see the debut of Joshua Uche, who the Chiefs acquired in the trade last week from the New England Patriots. He'll get some snaps in tonight's game. Of course, he will add to the defense here in Kansas City. Will help with that pass rush. Now, people were kind of wondering if the Chiefs gave him too much, but the thing that I took away from the trade was that if Bill Belichick likes that trade and think that the Chiefs got over on the Patriots, that's a hell of a good trade by Brett Veach.
Dude has a heck of a motor, man. Like I was watching some of his his plays his highlights, and I'm like, dude, he's able to get after the quarterback, and I'm interested to see, what you feel about his addition, because to me, I think it's a great addition.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I think it's superb. I mean, again, you can never have too much talent. We obviously know that the Chiefs are still going to try to make moves before tomorrow's trade deadline at 3:00 Central, 4:00 Eastern. So, I mean, there's talk where the Chiefs are maybe trying to acquire Marshawn Lattimore out of New Orleans.
Like I told you, if they get him, they might as well just go ahead and give him the trophy.
That would be nice. But so we've seen that Brett Veach is not one who will not try to do what it takes to improve. Now, obviously, some stuff may have been kind of forced, due to the injuries and stuff like that. But again, as I always say, by him having the talent that he has, and knowing that you're still going to get Juju back, you do have an outside chance of getting Hollywood Brown at the end of the season. You're going to get Isaiah Pacheco back, before the end of this month. So, the moves that he's been able to make, bringing Juju in initially due to the injury of Hollywood, but also bringing in, trading for DeAndre Hopkins when Rashee Rice went down, and then of course bringing in Kareem Hunt as well. I mean, it's easier said than done. But I do, like bringing up the fact that when the Chiefs are going to be as healthy as they get as we head into the playoffs, with the new talent that they get, that they're going to be having, and the talent that they're bringing back off of the injury list, they're going to be hard. They're going to be hard pressed to stop in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, because there's no drop off. I mean, because you get DeAndre Hopkins, he comes off the field. You still have Juju out there. I mean, and Justin Watson's no slouch, right? He's quiet. He's quietly still one of the best wide receivers on this team, speed wise as well. And like you said, Xavier Worthy and
hold on, but let's add, Cole Hardman has been playing well this season.
Yes,
on special team as well as in the offense.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, you still have the speed, and you still have that physical wide receiver or the dog, and a guy like Kareem Hunt, in the backfield.
The one thing we do want to send our thoughts and prayers out to Jordy Fortson. Of course, his season ended last week in Las Vegas with the fumble.
It's crazy, man.
With the injuries. So we do want to send him our best. For him making it through, trying to make sure that he rehabs and gets back on the team next year.
And I want to, you go through. Let's see, he's been in the league 3 years?
No,
4 years.
No, he's been in the league since the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl.
2019.
Yeah, I think he was in. I think it was there like 2018, about
2019. So
2018, because remember he was first a wide receiver.
And
then they transferred.
He was
converted to a tight end.
And he's had an injury in every season.
Yeah.
And I know, like Brett Veach talked about when Kadarius Toney, he was like, "Hey, you got to get your body right," and things like that. Some of the injuries for Jody Fortson weren't like his fault.
No.
Like an ACL tear. Yeah, you just I don't know, because we know he works his tail off.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen video footage of him, in the training, just working out in the gym and being here. Yeah, we've seen it.
So I'm like, if put your Jody Fortson hat on.
Yeah.
Do you want to come back to football? Or is it like, man, I don't want to get well to have to have another injury?
No, you got to. I mean, well, one, I don't know what he plans to do post football.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure. Look, it's funny. The getting back is not hard about. I think for a player like him, it's always the rehab part. Because you're always, because you're not feeling like you're part of the team, but you're always trying to come back and you got to put in the special hours, the early morning, the late nights, trying to get your body right.
Yep.
And then, and that's just a rehab. You still got to get yourself back in the football shape and in the mental aspect and learn the plays. And the toughest part for him, if it is the fact that you may not have a guarantee that you're going to be on the team next year.
Right.
So that's the hardest part, because that plays a mental aspect that you just not ready, that you may not be prepared for.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen guys. Not on this team, but I mean, you could look at a guy like Derek Johnson, who tore his Achilles came back, and I think he tore his other Achilles, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we've seen guys have to battle back from injury and come back and ultimately, be their final, season after they come back. So, and granted, Derek Johnson was kind of a little older, right? But, yeah, I mean, I prayers to him, man, because I hope he's able to, fight through just the whole surgery and then come back.
Steve Walls along with Darren Smith here, Arrowhead Stadium in the press box. Pregame Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kickoff is at 7:50, 7:15, 7:20.
7:15.
7:15. ESPN, ABC, KNBC, ESPN2 if you want to watch Peyton Manning in the broadcast, in the Manning booth.
No, thank you.
Would have been ESPN8, but they decided they didn't want to hire me and Steve for, whatever reason. I guess we cost too much. But looking at tonight's game, Steve, again, the Chiefs looking to go 8-0. Andy, as always, is looking for the next great win, next great play. But Travis Kelce finally got a chance to get to the end zone last week in Las Vegas. Last 3, 4, 5 games, it seemed like Taylor Swift wasn't here. She's here tonight. I really got a feeling that, again, I think DeAndre Hopkins going to get into, I think the Chiefs at least score 21. I think DeAndre gets a touchdown. Kareem gets one because he just gets one. And I think Travis Kelce gets one tonight as well.
Yes, plus 125. I got him on my slip, man. I'm telling you, man. It's you can disagree with me all you want to, but I feel like a healthy Travis Kelce at the end of the season, where he hasn't had those nicks and bumps and bruises that he would have had they had relied on him early on in the season, is going to be great. And I think we're at that halfway point to where it's time to turn it on. It's like, all right, come hell or high water, throw me the rock. Because he hasn't said that. Even Patrick has said, we haven't had to do that because they've been winning, so he hasn't had to, do anything like that. But I feel like when the rubber meets the road, that's who you have to have your go-to.
Now we're going into week number 9, 8th game for the Chiefs. Now, you said earlier on that you think that the Chiefs are trying to low manage Kelce, so to speak. With
I don't want to say, don't get me wrong, low managing would be, in NBA terms, like the guy's not playing, right? So I don't want to say low managing. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to have the workload while you're out there, as I'm not going to force you the ball like I would.
Now, that part I agree with, because the Chiefs have been able, Pat's been doing a good job of spreading the ball around. Let me ask you this. Do you see Mahomes building on his game last week against Las Vegas? Obviously, the week before, while we were in San Francisco, he had a decent game, but he didn't throw a touchdown pass, but he did have the touchdown run and ran the defender over. And then last week, he had 2 touchdowns. He still had an interception in the game. But overall, offensively, I think it was more of a complete game for him, than what we probably seen this season. Do you expect him to build on that, even with the weather being what it is tonight?
I think so. I think he's found somewhat of a rhythm. And Mahomes is a rhythm quarterback. And I feel like the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, the addition of Kareem Hunt, has allowed him to settle in and be like, all right, we good. I ain't gotta force it. And I don't have to, force the ball downfield.
But let me say that, because you bring up the word force. And the reason why I asked that, because we saw that he did make a conscious effort to get DeAndre, I think it might have been the first pass of the game or second, on opening drive. Do you feel like now that he's had a full week of practice, that he may try to force feed him a little bit more in tonight's game? I
don't want to say force feed him, because last week I feel like the force feed was, all right, you just run this 10-yard up and out, and the ball's gonna be there. Whether it's a defender on you or not, I'm still gonna throw you the ball. See, and DeAndre's like, all right, cool. So now it's like, all right, whatever plays that he's gonna call, DeAndre's gonna go line up and he'll go through his check downs and see what's available. But I feel like last week, it's just drawing it up in the dirt. Here, the first 16 scripted anyway, so DeAndre knows this is where he lines up, no matter what they call.
Now, you had a question that was pulled. I didn't get a chance. What was the question?
It's going to rain all night. Corey asked, was it going to rain all night?
It's at least going to rain through 10 o'clock. It's funny because from our vantage point, it's actually hard to see if it's raining or not, I don't know if it's raining. I mean, I can't really tell because it doesn't.
Yeah, it's still raining. You can look up in the lights and
Okay,
see.
so
it's not as hard as it was.
Yeah, so it may, I don't know to what degree. As long as there's no lightning or whatever, they probably won't stop play or.
But the way the stadium is built, it's the high. We're at the high point of the stadium, and so it's going to be raining a little bit more heavier when it gets down to the ground. That wind starts swirling around. So, of course, it's heavier where we are, but down ground level, it's probably it's not that bad.
Okay. So again, we're here live at Arrowhead Stadium inside the press box. Darren Smith, along with Steve Walls, covering the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, we'll be here next week with our pregame show at 11 a.m. since it's our first noon game in some time.
Not even next week, man. It's like 6 days.
6 days. Yeah, 6 days from now. So make sure you tune in and join us. Also, just a quick reminder: 2 things. We will, even though it is election day tomorrow, we do want you to get out and vote. We will still have the red hour tomorrow night from 6:30 to 7:30. So, if you're standing in line, you can still watch us before you cast your vote. So,
what time post close? 7.
Post close at 7. We'll still be on the air at 7:30 to 7:30. So let's see. I want to take a look back at tonight's matchup defensively for the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, before we get that, I do want to ask you. Last week, Wanya Morris had some problems, had some issues going up against Max Crosby and a few.
Most people in the league do.
Yes. Does he play better tonight? Now, I do want to say for the fact that even though I think he might have got a flag or 2 for false start, Jawan Taylor held his own, did not allow any pressures from Max Crosby or anyone else on his side towards Patrick Mahomes. Speaking of which, do you see the tackles holding up well in tonight's game?
I do. I mean, you don't have a force. If you look up and down this Buccaneers defensive line, you don't have a force like Max Crosby.
You still got Vito that can.
But he's not Max Crosby.
Yeah, he's not.
And so I think Max is like one of those top tier dudes where he's going to command 2 offensive linemen, and sometimes Andy's like, "Hey, I'm putting you on that island. You got to go and just don't get our quarterback hurt." So I think he'll be fine. I remember Andy talked about this. What was that, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, in the Wednesday press conference. It was like, hey, some of these are going to be kind of growing pains. These guys are young, and some of it we just got to deal with.
The thing is that I told you, there's not another left tackle that's walking through the door. As much as I, mentioned to Brett Veach a couple weeks ago in San Francisco, I was like, Donovan Smith is still out there. It don't seem like they're bringing anyone. I mean, this is who the Chiefs are going with. It seems like from now through New Orleans, hopefully.
Yeah, we thought that about the wide receivers too.
Yeah, but the wide receivers, but it was injuries. Though. Yeah. That's a big difference. Because if you got to remember, if Hollywood and Rasheed don't get injured, are they making any changes?
Yeah, and you got to think about it this way too. Let's just say, and knock on wood, someone on the offensive line is not able to go for whatever reason. Week 8, 9, 10. I mean, if there's a free agent,
trade deadline tomorrow.
But if there's a free agent out there like a Donovan Smith who's not on any team, you can bring him in no matter what for a workout and just to buy you some time. So I mean, he's not on another team. So unless he's going to sign with somebody tomorrow, I think he'll be all right.
Well, we should see about that. On the defense side of football, Steve, obviously Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, they're still wreaking havoc. One would think this would be an easy night, and easy being relative because this is the NFL, but an easy night for the defensive backs. For Trent McDuffie and some of these other, and the rest of them, because you're not facing a Chris Godwin, you're not facing a Mike Evans. How do you see Spags and defensively with his defensive backs going up against his wide receiver set for the Bucs? Because Sterling Shepard is out. I think Mike Evans is out.
Yep.
Chris Godwin is out.
Yep.
So now you're stuck with a rookie. And actually, I don't know if I think Jalen McMillan might be out as well. So I don't know. We got a lot of players that are out tonight.
As I was kind of assessing the game last couple weeks, and I don't know if I talked to you about it, but the absence of Jalen Watson, man, is huge. And the fact that we're hearing, the Chiefs possibly interested in a Lattimore, right? That lets me know it's not like the offensive linemen, they're going to go with who they got, right? I think they're looking to get, since Jalen Watson's going to be out a substantial amount of time, they're going to be looking because maybe I mean, I like Josh, but maybe he's not the guy that you want to have as a starter. You know, maybe he's a guy that can play in a nickel, but not as a every down, lockdown cornerback. Because Spags will leave you on that island,
Yeah.
and luckily they do have Trent McDuffie out there. But since the absence of Jalen, I'm just not so sure that they're confident in what they're getting from Josh.
I think the reason that they're looking at Lattimore, if someone else, is because the Chiefs are preparing themselves for the playoff run, obviously.
Yeah.
But you look at the moves that other teams made. Baltimore bringing in trade for Deontay Johnson. Now you've got him along with Zay Flowers, with Mark Andrews, and Derrick Henry. So now they have a full complement.
He got me 28 points in
well, that's good.
fantasy.
But you look at it, so the Chiefs are playing chess at the moment because they're trying to make sure that they get themselves prepared. Obviously, if somehow Cincinnati makes it into the playoffs, you still got to deal with T. Higgins and Chase was it Brown or John or whatever, Jamar Chase, and then of course they're tight end as well. And then you look at Buffalo. Buffalo, Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
You got Mike Gesicki. No, he's not with them. But you got their tight
Dalton Kincaid,
Knox, and then of course Amari Cooper. So I can see why they're trying to continue to build on that defense because you don't know who you're going to face in the playoffs. So you want to make sure that you're prepared in all cylinders. And of course, with the loss of Jalen Watson, it would behoove you to stack up defensively what you can, when you can, and however you can by tomorrow's deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I 100% agree because you don't want to get out there and be look, the last couple of seasons, you've had some guys that are able to lock down at cornerback, and you be okay with that, right? Like now, you don't want there to be a drop off if another team is set and ready to go, like Baltimore.
Chris Jones had a fumble return in the last meeting against his team. He actually has 5 sacks in the last 5 Monday Night Football games. So, what are you looking for?
How many sacks does Chris Jones have thus far this season? Do you know? When was his last sack? It's been a couple games.
Yeah, probably why he don't like talking to the media because he ain't. That makes sense.
Yeah, but I think today's his day. I mean, I feel like you've got to get after Baker Mayfield.
With the field condition being with it, and if you can put pressure, which they should be able to do on this offensive line, he is willing. He's going to run the football.
Yeah.
So whether or not you get him behind or whatever, there's no excuse why they do not get after him and get him in the backfield tonight.
And the interesting thing is, I saw like a little montage of quarterbacks that have played this Chiefs team, and you look at like a Lamar Jackson who goes off to the side on the bench and slams his helmet down. You get a Joe Burrow who goes and slams his helmet down on the sideline, and you get other quarterbacks who just are frustrated because of how this defense is and how going up against Mahomes, they're not able to get off what they want to get off.
So what do you think frustrates them about playing Kansas City? Or is it the sheer fact the quarterback is trying to outduel and see Brett Veach over there, outduel or try to do Mahomes or something? Or is it just because what I always seem, especially come playoff time, is that it always seems like when you play the Chiefs, somehow, some way mentally, you get taken out of your game plan when you face the Chiefs and you face Mahomes because you always feel like you got to go tit for tat instead of just sticking to your game plan.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what Baltimore did when we were there last year, in January, in the AFC Championship game, where they stopped running the football after the opening drive. It looked like. I
think the frustrating thing is the fact that you get at least the guys that he's played against, right? Like few times throughout his career, like the Buffalo, like Lamar and Cincinnati, they feel like they're just as good. Like they feel like they should be, go, yard for yard with Mahomes. They honestly feel that way. And I get it. Like you're competitive and you should feel that way. But once it doesn't go their way, it's like, man, I was this close. I could, you know how sometimes you feel like sports betting. We this close. Same. Like they feel like they're this close, and it just gets frustrating. And I think that frustration, from one way or the other, a drop pass or a penalty or an incomplete pass, a turnover, I think that's at the inopportune time. That's what ends up happening, and then the game is over at that point. And here it is again. I've lost again to Patrick Mahomes. And then you got to go and listen to the media on Monday morning.
Or post it right after the game.
Yeah.
X factor for tonight's game. I'm asking this early because I do want to talk about what we might see by the deadline tomorrow. But your X factor in tonight's game offensively first for the Chiefs.
I want to hear yours first. You go first.
Okay, I wasn't really ready.
I know you wouldn't. Because I ain't ready.
Let's see. On offense for the Chiefs, left tackle, Wanya Morris.
Okay.
Seriously, I want to see what type of improvements he's had from week to week, especially after last week, because there were a couple of times where Mahomes got hit where it was just like, it was like, bro, I'm gonna need you to do a little bit better when it comes to blocking. So for me, I want to see if he can hold up, give Mahomes time, you know what I'm saying, where he can kind of, scan the field and go to his progression. So if he's able to do that, I think the Chiefs win big tonight. If he's able, because again, it's always dealing with the pressure that you get on Mahomes, and if Mahomes is always running out the backfield because the left tackle can't hold up, that's going to be a problem. So I want to see what type of improvements we've seen from last week in Vegas to tonight. So that's my X factor. Yeah, I know you weren't expecting that.
I wasn't. My X factor is Patrick.
Dude, you can't.
No. Here's the reason why.
Every week is always Patrick.
No, it was last week and this week. But this week I want to see if he's able to string together 2 games.
Yeah.
Right? Like you did what you did last week against an opponent that you were supposed to beat. This is, Tampa Bay's coming here. It's a real question mark. Like people can kind of straddle the fence like, is Tampa Bay going to showcase what a playoff team that they are? Like, can you put up numbers on a playoff team? You're not going to be able to beat this team without scoring touchdown. With the passing touchdown. Well,
here's the thing. Even with the absence of Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, somehow, some way, Baker now, granted it was in a division against the Atlanta Falcons, but he still found a way to throw for almost, I think, 300 plus yards and
50 points. What was the game they had? They put up 50-point points.
I don't know about that, but I'm talking about just last week after the injuries. You know what I'm saying? So even without his 2 top wide receivers, he was still able to throw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns. So that's still something that you can't overlook.
Baker's gonna come in here thinking he can outdo you.
Oh yeah,
like
that's just cocky.
So I think Mahomes has to come out here and play a complete game and not give any turnovers. Because if you give turnovers, I think Tampa Bay will kill you, man. So I feel like you've got to go out here and show why you are still in that MVP race.
And I'm gonna follow up on that. I also want to see Patrick have a good game simply because I'm getting tired of this narrative that we're seeing on TV. Like every 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Buffalo Bills were the best team in football, even though they had lost 2 games, but they were the best team in football. Then after that, it was the Baltimore Ravens. They were the best team in football, not knowing that the Chiefs beat them already. But then now Detroit's the best team in football. Like Chiefs are undefeated. Granted, Mahomes had to play well, which is even more scary because if he was to play well and they're undefeated, or if he has been playing well, just imagine when he starts playing well, or if he starts playing well and they're still undefeated. So I like to see him string, like you said, 2 games together because I'm getting real tired of this narrative that that the Chiefs are good only because of their defense and they're looking out for Mahomes, which is, look, to them that's fine.
Yeah.
They're still undefeated, got a 2-game lead. And the one thing I keep trying to remind everybody is every time you keep talking about a team is better than Kansas City, Houston, Buffalo, you got to remember the Chiefs play them all. And, the Chiefs played Buffalo. I'm sorry, the Chiefs played Baltimore. They beat them. Season over. They beat Cincinnati. They beat the Chargers once already. Whoever else they played, of course, and
New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. Well,
yeah.
New Orleans hasn't won.
Atlanta.
So and they'll play Houston.
All playoff
they'll play
teams.
Pittsburgh. They'll play Buffalo.
All playoff teams.
Denver as well. So and I don't know if people are. And look, I'm not a homer. Anybody knows me know I'm not a homer. I just like the team does, they're successful.
Call it like we see it.
If it's successful, we enjoy our trips to Super Bowl, Steve, and I do. So, but to say that these teams are better than Kansas City and they're factually not, it gets real bothersome for me. So I like to see them put up a couple of see Patrick see, good string of games, and at least one that didn't have an interception in tonight's game.
Yeah.
X factor for you defensively for the Chiefs.
Cornerbacks, man. I've already said it. Like you see them thinking about trying to get testing the water, trying to get another cornerback. I want to see Joshua Williams, Trent McDuffie and company actually shut down wide receivers. We see Trent.
Trent have been doing. Because if you look at
turnovers,
well, that's different. Forced turnovers, yes. Because I was going to say because we've seen the Chiefs defense where running backs have great games, except for when they play the Chiefs. Wide receiver, I think only one wide receiver that's had a good game against the Chiefs. Everyone else they've been well below their average on facing the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Defensively for me, I'm going to go with Chris Jones. The reason why I said it because as you talked about, he hadn't had a sack in a couple of games.
Yeah.
So this is a good time. And again, we know Baker's going to run. He's going to run the football. He's going to get pressure on him. Let's see what he comes out with tonight. Again, if he's able to get pressure and him being the CEO. He's one of those players that you get a big sack that gets the crowd involved. That gets the crowd hyped, gets them excited, and it puts them in a second and long, third and long position where now you can just now you can haul off on them. So that's what I like to see.
Okay.
All right.
That's why they play the game.
All right. So with the trade deadline being tomorrow, election day deadlines at 4:00 Eastern, 3:00 Central. Do you see the Chiefs making any moves, even in and outside of trying to acquire Marshawn Lattimore?
Yeah, I do.
And do you think they get him?
I don't know, man. Depends on what they have to give up. What does New Orleans need?
They should be in the sell program. They fired their head coach, Dennis Allen, today.
I don't think they're in their sell.
Well, the crazy thing is that because they're $81 million over salary cap for next year, Derek Carr is going to get the salary cap for $51 million. Now,
that's crazy.
Obviously, Chiefs aren't going after him, but you got now. I'm not, you're not bringing Tyron back, but they've got to be. They've got to. They're going to have to get rid of some of the players. They just have to.
Yeah, but you're not in a fire sale because you still are in the race. You're not.
No, you're not.
It's still a lot of football left.
There's 10 games left. I think they're 2-7. So it's 8 games left for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if they won, the rest would be 10-7. But that's not going to happen.
Would you be willing to give up on the season at this point? Because the guys you got some older guys. Cam Jordan's not young. You got Tyron that's not young. I wouldn't be trying to sell the farm.
But here's the thing. Even our good friend Colin Saunders is down there. He's like, he was on Twitter yesterday, kind of just all over the place because he's never been in a situation where he's had a losing record like this.
Yeah.
So so he doesn't even know how to.
Willie guy either.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I think if you can go out there and get somebody and not have to give up a lot for them, then so big. If it's going to make you better, I think you don't need anybody offensively. Defensively is where you would need, and cornerback is it. So. If you're gonna make some moves,
you can,
And I think if you're gonna make some moves, go after Lattimore and go get him.
Get you another wide receiver, G.E.H.A.
Yeah. Hopefully they ain't gotta give up nothing big for him.
So is there anyone out there that you would be willing to give up something big for? If you could, there, people speculating Tyreek Hill. What would you give up to bring him back?
Nothing. You don't need them. You've been winning.
Yeah, but bring him back.
Yeah,
we ain't gonna say no. You can't.
Respectfully, I think.
Brett, if you can bring him back.
I think you've got everything you need, man. Minus another cornerback, because that's all you lost, really. With L'Jarius Sneed, you didn't lose anything else.
Yeah.
Think about offensively. What did they lose? You had MVS. You had Kadarius Toney. Like you ain't really lose. You ain't lose nothing. You still got your offensive line. You still got your running backs, wide receivers. You've added to that.
So okay. So before we go, do you see the Chiefs trading anyone? I mean, you're getting rid of anyone? Because again, we keep having a conversation that when Pacheco comes back, you're essentially going to have 4 running backs, and then Carson still as a fullback.
I don't know. I mean,
you know,
Samaje maybe. I think Samaje. If you're gonna roll with Clyde, Samaje to the practice squad.
why would he go to the practice squad if he's been contributing?
They have a like for Clyde.
Well, Clyde has been able,
and maybe they parlay Clyde to New Orleans,
Clyde,
his hometown.
I was going to say, now Clyde has also been an actor. I mean, he's been practicing where he could come back and play.
Maybe they more parlay Clyde back to his hometown for Lattimore and some money. Just throwing it out there. That's his hometown.
Steve been looking online, taking some of them online courses, trying to be a GM. Okay.
I know a thing or two.
All right, final thoughts and predictions for tonight's game.
Chiefs going to win, man. I think it's going to be a ground and pound type game, and the Chiefs have shown that they can win a game without throwing a touchdown.
Now, the last time the Chiefs faced off against the NFC South team, here you had the Chiefs losing, so.
I did. That was a big no. Yeah. Got a bunch of nasty messages in my inbox.
Well deserved too. I try to pull them back.
Yeah.
He just wanted to go. All right. So you got a score?
Nah, I don't got a score tonight.
Probably do. You probably just got to do your best. See what it was. I got Chiefs winning as well. I think this is the first time the Chiefs actually win by a full 2 touchdowns. I know every time last couple of weeks they've always had a 2 touchdown lead, but then somehow, giving up a last late fourth quarter touchdown.
Yeah.
I think they win it. I'm going to say 31-13. I think the Chiefs win
30
by
points,
18.
30 ball.
I think they win by 18. So,
okay.
Before we get out of Steve, I'll let you. Oh, just a reminder again. We will once again be having a red hour tomorrow night, 6:30 to 7:30 on election night. We're not going to call the election or anything, but we will have this one conversation that I want to make sure we ask Steve is with with a lot of 2-win teams, and I kind of posted this on the Sports Den on Facebook, but there has not this has been the one year that there's been a lot of terrible football being played.
A lot of injuries.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so we need to kind of dive in there to see whether there's injuries, lack of players playing in the preseason, or if you look at the Cowboys, players more concerned about money than trying to build a team and win and stuff like that. Because now you see kind of the repercussions of it. So that's a discussion that I want to have tomorrow night on the Red Hour. But make sure you join us 6:30, 7:30 on the social media platforms. Follow Steve Walls at Steve Walls KC. At Darren Smith NFL. Steve, you want to thank your sponsors?
First, we're going to be live tomorrow from the studio, but the following week on November 11th, so 11/11 will be for the remaining month of November, will be at Elevation Grill located in Raytown for the Red Hour. So make sure you come out, check out myself, Darren Smith, also DJ Q, and Sean Tyler. They have a bunch of good food, drinks. Come out, watch the show, hang out. We have prizes. We got a new prize wheel that we'll be unveiling. Bunch of giveaways. Come out and hang out with us. You'll have a great time.
We're not giving away these hats.
Also, just thank you to my friends over at Dillard's on the Road. So make sure you go out there and check them out. Christmas is coming, and get your gifts lined up. I did some Christmas shopping the other day. Not actually buying anything, but kind of looking to see, at a few stores. Dillard's was one of them. Just make sure you go and check them out.
Also, I want to thank Todd White and Todd Clothiers and Taylor Suits keeping me stylish and fresh for the game days. Located 2 locations, about to be a third one that's going to be open up real soon. We'll get to you about that. Also want to thank Gates Barbecue. 5 locations. We got the Bernie Mac. Steve's going to try it tonight for the first time. So it's new at all 5 locations. Get you ribs, get you some baked beans, get you some wings, get you all the good stuff. Try the Bernie Mac and tell them Darren sent you. 5 locations across the metro area. And then also, very important, across the country, if you're watching this, go out and vote. Not going to tell you to vote for, but we do want you to take this option to make sure you get out and vote. Republican, Democrat, Independent, third party, whatever. Make sure you get out there. Make sure your voices are heard And don't sit on the sidelines because we've seen how the level of conversation and discourse has been at an all-time low. So make sure whatever side of the fence you sit on, go out there, utilize your vote. Um, People who look like Steve and I, our ancestors died for this right. Got to get out there and make sure that your voices are heard. And I only vote on this, but make sure you vote at your local elections as well. So, because it starts low key at the local level and works its way on up. So make sure you follow us post game. We'll bring you Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and get you locker room interviews and stuff as well, and then give you a post game show. Steve Walls, I'm Darren Smith. Thank you so very much. Tune in now for Monday Night Football on ESPN and KNBC, ABC, Channel 9. We are out.